This is Best Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, John McDonald and Matt Fitzgerald. And it begins now.
Half of your audio BWP Tag Team Champions of the World, Jonathan McDonald, but with me as always, too sweet to be sour, my tag team partner, my best friend and yours, the GOAT, Matt Fitzgerald. Matt, what's going on?
Man, I'm so fired up and excited to be back in the BWP studio after a much needed and exciting trip to the Sahara Desert, where I just had a phenomenal family excursion. Excited to tell you a little bit about it later, but back from the Sahara Desert and excited to talk pro wrestling.
Yeah, well, look, 2 weeks in the Sahara Desert is an experience of a lifetime. Anybody has to take that. You're more of a family man than, dare I say, even Goldberg. So you put family first. I hope you enjoyed your trip. You looked even more tan than ever, if I may say so. More beautiful than ever. Obviously refreshed and relaxed and recharged. Ready to talk about a ton of stuff that's going on in the wrestling world. So many topics to try to poke around and share our thoughts on. But if there's one thing I want to start off with first, it's not with a bang because it's a thud, and that is the thud of disappointment that was CM Punk, his fight, the buy rate, his future. Bleh. What are your thoughts on 155,000, which is way more than CM Punk's in-ring career will ever last, but it's the buy rate, the number of buys for his SmackDown in his second ever pro fight.
Man, I'm so glad we're talking about this. I'm really glad you brought it up because while I was in the Sahara Desert, I was thinking about this because this has been a while now. I know that this event happened, but I originally felt really bad for him. Like I think that it's a sad state of affairs. Obviously, he's put a lot of energy into it, but I feel that it's really fizzled out his career. And if anything, maybe you could say hurt his stock. Like, I don't think he has the opportunity now to jump into the movie world or, into other things. I felt like it's tarnished his reputation. What do you think?
Well, I want to put the $1 million question to you that's drawn a lot of varied responses. Obviously, it's hurt his reputation in the UFC. It's donezo there, but has it hurt his wrestling image? Would it hinder his ability to draw if he were to ever come back to the wrestling world?
I think it has. I think that it looks like a bit of a blunder. And I don't know, Jonathan, as well. Like, the match itself was really weird. I even thought it was bizarre that Joe Rogan made the comment and said if he was a conspiracy theorist, he would believe that somebody's paid the other gentleman not to finish off Punk. And it did look like that. So not only was it a weird buy rate, but it was also just a really bizarre match. And I think that it does hurt his credibility to come back versus if he had just left WWE and maybe he went on a sabbatical somewhere. I think that his stock and credibility would be higher. I don't even know right now if Cody Rhodes wants him all that bad for All In. I think it's going to be a mountain climb for Chick Magnet Punk.
Well, yeah, and we know that's true because it was said under oath, but I think the difference between a Punk and before anyone says, well, Ronda Rousey lost or Brock Lesnar lost. Yeah, they may have lost, but Brock Lesnar, after he tapped out to Frank Mir, he came back and smashed him. Ronda Rousey, before she lost, she was the champ and won a bunch of fights. So I think it's a totally different situation with Punk, who just absolutely got creamed 2 times.
Oh, 100%. And at least Brock has the look, and he's just a wildebeest. And Ronda Rousey, I mean, God, she's an Olympic medalist and she crushed it. So I don't think it's the same thing at all. I think it's somebody that was very talented at pro wrestling, that had some sour grapes, thought that he could just go to UFC, got his, the floor mopped with his scraggly hair and beard there for a bit. And so I don't know, like, what do you do now? Write comic books or does SNL, does Jimmy Fallon even want this guy right now?
Can I seg into the Brock Lesnar opening that's presented there? What is going on with the Extreme Rules SummerSlam mess?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't even know. I just think it's very bizarre. So Kurt Angle had this match lined up where it felt like it was going to be much like I think Extreme Rules last year or the pay-per-view before that, where there was this fatal 5-way. And then I guess it got kiboshed and something about Paul Heyman's tweet. Paul Heyman said that Brock Lesnar faces whoever Brock Lesnar wants to face. And then I guess is Brock pulling out of the title match because an angle on Raw said that it's despicable that now he's got to cancel the match because of Brock. And so I don't even like, it's very bizarre. Is it all story, or is some of it got to do with the real life of Brock Lesnar, I wonder?
I don't know if it's more of this attempt to get fans to hate Brock Lesnar with this whole he doesn't show up that much stuff. I'm really over it. You know, back when we used to grow up and wrestle each other in the backyard, hit each other with steel chairs in the good old days, if you didn't defend your belt every 30 days, you lost it.
100%. And I feel that it's, not to switch gears here too much, but to just talk about how out of touch they are. Like, I feel that this, for whatever reason, it doesn't make us hate Brock anymore. But I did feel that when they quote unquote suspended Ronda for 30 days, like that made me not like Ronda, because I'm like, obviously I know what that is. Like, the audience is smart. She's just going to piss off now for 30 days when I want to see Ronda. And so I feel that I don't know who's writing this program.
I don't know, but boy, you hit the nail right on the head. It sure didn't take long before they needed to craft some sort of storyline to get Ronda into her busy schedule. And it's just so patently obvious with that 30-day suspension thing.
Oh man, 100%. Like, she's off filming some other movie, which is cool, but then just don't book her and tell everybody that she's like a full-time star on the roster. And then she goes in and out of these matches and she's suspended for 30 days. Like, we just know what's going on. Just, build her more like a Brock Lesnar superstar where she doesn't need to be there all the time. And I'd be down for that. But it's when you try to pull the wool over my eyes, or the audience eyes, I guess, in this situation. I think that's where the fan backlash comes from. And hey, then we bring beach balls, and then we do the wave, and then you got to eat it.
I don't have a segue for this, so I'm going to awkwardly jam it in. Dolph Ziggler, in our 2-week hiatus, won the Intercontinental title from the ultra hot Seth Rollins.
I know. Wasn't that interesting? When's the last time that the Intercontinental title switched on Raw like that, in that capacity? Like, kind of clean for the most part.
I don't have an answer to that. It feels like it's a long... I nerded up, brother. I'm nerding up. I think after WrestleMania 32, the one that we attended, when Zack Ryder had a miracle victory, he lost it the very next night to The Miz.
Okay, and so that's a good point. But let me, I guess, frame it this way: when was the last time somebody that was red hot and like on a run with the IC belt just had it kind of won on Raw? Like, I got a whole diatribe that I wanted to get to. I wanted to bring to your attention this cool little trivia fact. I think it's the first time, if I have this right, in something like 2 years, that there was a title change over the Intercontinental title that didn't feature Dean Ambrose or The Miz. So that belt has been really attached to The Miz for quite some time. So what do you think their plan is to take it off Seth and put it on all Snore Ziggler, as I like to call him?
Well, I don't know, but what I did have kind of written down to say about this is the good old days, and boy, that's twice already. I'm becoming an old fart here. But the good old days were that you put the IC strap on someone that was heating up on their journey to the world title. So maybe that is going to be executed with Seth, and I hope it is, because I'm really, really digging his stuff lately. But what the hell is it doing on Dolph, who has just not been anywhere near relevancy for a long time?
I know. Like, if anything, I thought it would have been a better booking idea to have Drew come in and just steal it off Seth, and then maybe you take Seth and you put him in the main picture. I felt like it was last minute booking, so I'm not too sure what's going to happen and what feud is going to be set up. It really makes me interested to see where all of this is really going to go.
Well, you look back in the day, Bret Hart won the IC title, then he won the world. Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, a million other people, but I mean, Dolph Ziggler's kind of flirted with the world and the IC already. So I think you were really right when you said that Drew McIntyre would have been a much better choice.
Plus, Drew McIntyre is a beast, and he's way more over than Snore Ziggler. And can I ask you, is Seth Rollins really that hot right now? Is this what hot just looks like in the new world?
Well, I think he's having great matches. I know that's a subjective thing, but in a world where let's just say the people that they want cheered and the people they want booed don't normally pan out. Seth is one of the few people who consistently comes out to huge babyface reactions and keeps them throughout his matches. So he really stands out in that regard in my eyes.
Okay, I'll give him that. You're right. If they're wanting people to cheer him, then I guess people are cheering him outside of me because I don't like him. And I would rather have, I don't understand to me, I feel like Seth's time is up. Like I'm a big believer that it's time to I feel like it's time to move on, man. Like I want people like Elias in the main picture or Drew McIntyre, or even, put the Miz back up there. Seth,
can I just say about Elias that would have satisfied both your understandable love of Elias and my desire to see the IC title as a stepping stone. And I thought for sure he was going to be the one at the pay-per-view to take it from Seth.
Big time. And I heard, I was reading there on the interweb. I don't know if you've ever been on the other web, but that they're planning right now for an Elias face turn. And what are your thoughts on that? Because obviously the crowd just loves him anyway. I go back to when they were in Chicago and I believe that Elias said something along the lines of, everybody here in Chicago are scumbags. And then the crowd was chanting, "We are scumbags." And so, I mean, he's already such a babyface. Do you just make him a babyface now because basically he's already won the hearts of the people?
Well, can they do it right? Like with The Rock or Stone Cold, or are they going to make him like a plucky, smiling underdog, come lucky guy like they seem to do with everybody who turns face? I'm all for cheering Elias. I do it already, but I want to make sure that he keeps that edge that he has. I don't want him to really change too dramatically. I get it. He probably can't say that cities are full of scumbags, but other than that, I mean, keep the walk with Elias, keep the hello, my name is, and the center of the ring spotlight stuff. I don't want too much changed.
No, and I guess it brings up an interesting point. Wouldn't the crowd decide who's heel and face, not necessarily the bookers? Because Elias doing what he is doing right now, I mean, wouldn't you say that he is a bit of a face because the crowd is just over on him being a good guy and they give him accolades?
Yeah, I'm down with that. It really, really reminds me of The Rock in early 99 when he was still, I guess, heel in the corporation. But man, the crowd was digging it. Remember The Rock used to have to say, like, this is not sing along time with The Rock to try to quiet down all that babyface reaction.
Yeah, big time. And I go back to the match that he had with Shitty Rollins, Seth Shitty Rollins, and I thought it was interesting that he was getting a lot of steam at the end of that match, and the crowd was really getting into it. It looked like he was going to win, and then I thought it was interesting because Seth pulled the tights, and so I didn't know if that was a heel turn on Seth, but it must have been some element of building, I guess, what you would call like sympathy for Elias, which wouldn't necessarily, I think, fall into the heel category because we wanted him to win. He was hot, and then he kind of got screwed out of it, kind of, even though the announcers never really touched on the.
Well, did he? And the announcers never even touched on it the next night on Raw when they had his perfect opening that Ziggler reversed the tight hook and this time hooked the tights of his own, which was ding, 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 great continuity, but just totally ignored.
Yeah, and why is that? Like, how come the announcers didn't say, like, oh, he cheated, he cheat to win? Like, why wasn't that brought up? He clearly pulled the tights.
No clue, but I will tell you one thing. If they ever do a 27-minute match again that ends with a DQ ending, I am going to lose it. I'll do nothing, of course, but just complain bitterly. But, man, don't do that ever again. 27 minutes for a DQ? Oh, my God.
What match are we talking about here?
The rematch on Raw from Seth and Seth and Dolph.
Seth Shitty Rollins. Yeah, 27.
It was a great match. Excellent match, man. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want a match. If the match goes above 10 minutes, I don't want a DQ.
You don't want a DQ if it goes above 10 minutes. You're right. I kind of feel like I'm being robbed then a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of being robbed, one man that may have pulled off the heist of the century is yet again Vince McMahon. That's a smoother segue than my Dolph Ziggler stuff. The ink is signed. It's just drying right now. The Fox deal is complete. Fox and or Fox Sports or whoever will be airing SmackDown soon. What a job. Bravo to Vinnie Mac.
So I was under the impression that this was actually closed, like when we had this conversation come up on our last podcast. But I guess today it's basically just the icing on the cake. This is the final deal. It's 100% gone through. No more visionary kind of an aspect. Was that what I'm hearing?
All I know is that the WWE got to tweet it out today, which makes it feel even more of an official capacity.
It's tweet official.
Damn straight.
So what do you think about it? Are you excited? Do you think that anything will change other than the fact that it's on Fox, or will it just be the same old, just with a new logo in the bottom corner, or what?
I made a jot of this today in my book of notes, book of ideas, man, that in one of the press releases I saw, one of the official things, they refer to SmackDown as the flagship show, which has never been done.
You're right. I noticed that too, actually. And I didn't know what they meant by that. It's interesting you picked up on that also. I didn't know if they meant that, like, it's almost like the co-flagship show, like Raw and SmackDown are that's the flagship, and then all those other spin-off programs in the network, like they're the spin-off program. But did you feel that it was communicated as if no, SmackDown is the number one show?
I guess what I took it as is it's no longer going to be the B show. I think there's going to be 2 A shows now.
Interesting. Would you say that SmackDown has a show like caliber?
I will say this, that over the last 6 weeks or so, SmackDown's been a better show. I've really been digging the reunion of Team Hell No, which occurred this week. Shinsuke Nakamura's rivalry with the British Bulldogs been pretty good. And hey, AJ's still rocking his champ. Miz is cutting great promos. I've been finding it a better show.
What do you think about Rusev being in the number one contender spot?
My fear is that it's just a one-off and they're like, oh, we need a challenger for AJ to just totally dominate for another month.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like it's just like a transitional moment. And so it's going to be Rusev versus kind of like how Joe and Brock kind of felt to me, where there was a lot of hype for 4 weeks and then just Brock beat him clean. And then that was kind of it. I feel that maybe they know that Rusev is over with the fans, of course. So they give the fans a little bit what they want. It gives them an opportunity to maybe brainstorm about something else. But I think unfortunately what you're going to see is Rusev versus AJ. AJ wins clean, and then I think that's going to be it. I hope that they're not going to go then with some feud between Aiden English and Rusev. Like maybe that's going to be like the split up, because I know that Aiden English kind of interrupted AJ Styles, and Rusev was like, "What are you doing?" So I'm hoping that's not going to be the aftermath. But one thing that I am confident about is that Rusev will take this as an opportunity to shine. And man, Rusev is it. Like he should. I hope Rusev wins the title. Number one, I think he deserves it more than AJ Styles.
I'd be down with Rusev winning the title. I have no problem with that, except I do see that like on the advertisements for house shows coming up a little bit later on, which is usually a predictor for what's on TV anyways, it's showing AJ and Samoa Joe for the title.
Yeah. I mean, which will be a really good battle as well. Those guys had their best matches ever in TNA. And so I'm sure they can pull another, watered down, great, phenomenal, excellent TNA match.
I can never quite get your read on Samoa Joe. So are you down with him and is badass talking? And would you be okay if he won the belt?
I think Samoa Joe's great. I think that he has awesome matches. I just think that he's a bit old, and I feel that he might take the spot from somebody young like Elias. Like that's my fear.
Okay, this is beautiful because I wanted to make sure I got this plug in for a guy, and you gave me that old young thing. Someone who is really young and perhaps the future is Velveteen Dream, who, check this out, in the last month has gotten endorsed as, verbatim quote, the future of the wrestling industry by both John Cena and Hulk Hogan on Twitter. And those are two dudes who don't have to adhere to WWE manufactured policies with their Twitter accounts. Those are two huge endorsements. And I just thought it was awesome that the last takeover, Velveteen Dream just totally came out in that Hulk Hogan garb, did the whole cup to the ear thing and the poses. And Jesus, he's been rocking it lately.
Who the hell is Velveteen Dream?
Oh my God, I knew you were going to go down this road. Well, apparently, according to Cena and Hogan, he's the future of the industry.
Who is he? Like, is he the guy that comes out dressed like Prince?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God. So he dresses like Prince and now he's dressing like Hogan?
Well, he still did a very Prince-esque shtick, but he wore like red and yellow garb, if you will.
Oh, he's that chap that has that phenomenal elbow drop though, right?
That was a beautiful elbow drop. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll give him that. He's got a good elbow drop. He should be in the Cruiserweight Classic. That's all I got to say about Velveteen Nightmare Dream.
One thing that I am going to bring to reality here as the future, can't quite come out and say it yet, is that all Sahara Desert jokes aside, we've got some big things in the works, and we have been working really hard over the last couple of weeks to try and put them together. We appreciate all of our fans' patience with that, and we'll definitely be letting you know more about it as we can. But we have got some big, big things coming up in the works. So again, stay tuned for that. Appreciate your patience, and we'll let you know as soon as we can. One place to find it on my end is on Twitter, and I'm at Real BW Podcast, rocking and rolling with the tweets over there. And Matt, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you're still the undisputed king of Instagram.
Absolutely. I have Ronda Rousey, who direct messages me every day on Instagram, which is pretty exciting. And that is Best Wrestling Podcast. And that's it on Instagram. That's the hashtag Best Wrestling Podcast. The ad symbol, Best Wrestling Podcast. So you can engage us there. You can see some of the funny outtakes of the show, some of our thoughts. And we always love fans engaging with us on either one of these platforms because it allows us to, have our finger on the pulse and make sure that we're giving the audience what they want. That's our philosophy, unlike WWE's philosophy.
Yes, sir. And you can find the show that does give the people what they want on Apple iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, and Stitcher. Also, check out our YouTube channel. We've been launching and rolling with the videos, and there's going to be more of those in the future. So again, on YouTube, Best Wrestling Podcast as well. Stay tuned because we're going to be coming at you just like a beautiful velveteen dream elbow drop. We're Best Wrestling Podcast, and we've only just, even from the Sahara Desert, Antarctica, we've only just begun.